The point of this community is to meet your needs. So if you tell me what you want to learn, I'll come here and share all about it with you, and we can have a good time, right? So that's how this will work. And today, the topic that people suggested was emotional regulation. Who am I? You already know if you're in this virtual village, but I guess it's worth bringing up again. My name is gbemi. My clients like to call me Coach G, and I'm a psychotherapist. I have a burning desire to fill the gap that has been created by limited access to mental and emotional health. At Untangled Together Virtual Village, aka UTVV, we do the essential work of exploring, identifying, and getting unstuck from old patterns so that you can become the version of yourself that you both desire and deserve to be. But first, let's talk about emotions. I'm not going to do a deep dive into emotions in this workshop because there's an existing video in the resource library that already describes. You have already watched that video. You will already know that emotion is simply energy in motion. What's the meaning of that? When your brain senses something, it connects to your body. Body experiences that message from your brain. So an emotion is simply energy that is moving through your body. As a result, it doesn't have morals. It doesn't have the capacity to be right or wrong. It's just energy that is flowing through your body, the exact same way that if you put your hand in an electrical outlet, right, you will feel that electricity flowing through your body. That's what an emotion is. And then a feeling, which is closely related to an emotion, is your conscious awareness of that energy that is going through your body. Let me tell you why the distinction between emotion and feeling is important. Because you can feel something that is not an emotion. So it's not all feelings that are emotions. An emotion is specifically the energy that is moving through your body, that if you work with me long enough, you will soon come to learn to identify and recognize, because it's simply a signal that holds data and is something. That's all an emotion is. A feeling, on the other hand, is your own conscious awareness of what is happening in your body. So for example, you can feel cold. Cold is not an emotion. Cold is a physiological sensation that's in your body as your response to the temperature in your environment, right? So you can feel things that are not emotions, but a feeling is what you genuinely believe or what you think is happening in your body. So that is why when we say your feelings are valid, it means that you are already having an experience in your body, and how you cannot be wrong because that is what you are experiencing. So remember, an emotion is not a behavior. An emotion is not a thought. An emotion is simply energy. So if I put my hand on this flask, for example, right, and I touch it and it feels hot, whether or not somebody else thinks it is hot, do I feel heat? If you touch a hot surface and what you feel is heat, right? Your conscious awareness of the burn at your fingertips is that it is station. That's your conscious awareness that you have. Can that feeling be right or wrong? What do you guys think? Omolara says right. It can't be right or wrong because you are experiencing that. Thanks, Ivy. Olufumike thinks it can be wrong. I like Ariola's, This is the point. It can be neither of those things because it is what you are experiencing. And so when you say this thing is hot, that's because that's what you're experiencing it to be in your body, right? What if somebody else touches it and says, but it's not hot to me? So now who is right or wrong? What do you guys think? I think the chat is interesting. Ivy says the action afterwards can be right or wrong. Betty says, The point is, remember, an emotion is energy that is flowing through your body. Your body's physiological reaction to something that's going on in your brain. The next step after the emotion is that you now feel it, right? A feeling is your conscious awareness of what's going on in your body, right? So when you say, I feel hot, or I feel sad, or I feel angry, you have just given a descriptor of what you are perceiving and experiencing in your body. The reason it is not possible for that to be right or wrong, or true or false, is that you have just described your experience. It is already going on. What do you guys think? And we're just talking about basic emotions, emotions 101. An emotion is not a behavior. An emotion is not a thought. An emotion is the energy that is flowing in your body. Then as you are experiencing that energy, you can then say, I feel anxious. I feel scared. I feel afraid. I feel petrified. The name that you are giving what you are experiencing is what is called a feeling, your conscious awareness. You can then open your mouth and say it. Is it possible for you to mislabel the emotion? Absolutely. Is it possible for you to misinterpret it? Yes. Is it possible for it not to be a fact? So, for example, if somebody barges into the room and I say, I feel scared, then I now later realize that it wasn't a robber or a stranger, that it was just my son that was trying to startle me. In that moment, the energy that was going in through my body was that I was in danger. Is it possible that it's not based on reality? Yes. Is it possible that I may have misinterpreted it? Also, yes. However, can that experience that was going through my body be right or wrong? It has the capacity to be neither, because it is just an experience that you've been able to give a name. I'm going to move on now, right? Okay, for me, says that I understand now. So once you keep it simple like that, there's no need to intellectualize it in an advanced way, because I know, yes, we're highly intelligent, we've done a lot of reading and studying, but there's a term called emotional constipation. Tell me if you're familiar with that term before today. I'm looking at the chat. Never before. Never. Olu said never. Never heard of it before. Betty. Okay. Oh, that's a lot of no's. I see you, Ivy. Never. Right? If you've never heard of emotional constipation before, that I see you, Ariola. Ariola said, I learned it from you. Okay, I'm not going to ask you to take my word for it. I'm going to look it up and I'm going to read you. Or actually, you know what we should do? Let's have somebody look it up and volunteer to copy and paste their definition in the chat so everyone can see it. So that way you don't have to take my word for it. Because remember, I went to school to study this thing, right? And so when I'm sharing from the wealth of knowledge of what I studied and graduated in. Most of the things I learned and that I share as a therapist are things I learned, right? And I studied. Maybe I heard it in a class or in a conference or in a course that I took. And then because they put it in all these big textbooks that are complicated, I now break it down in simple science and I now like to explain it. Let me give you an example. I'll show you one of my favorite textbooks. This was the main textbook that we used in undergrad. My undergrad is in behavioral science, right? Look at this book. It has all kinds of definitions. I've read this book, had to pass multiple exams on it, and I'm board certified in this field. I've read it, I understand it, I simplify it. When I say it to you, you're going to think, what did this person just say? But I promise you, which is what I encourage people to do their own research or why I cite my studies, go read up on it, because before I took that class or studied it, I didn't know it either. But I'm fascinated by human behavior because of the way learning it and applying it practically has changed my life. And I'm passionate about sharing that knowledge. so other people can too. So please do your own research. Don't take my word for it. I'll read the chats now. Thank you. I see several people put it in. I think that you guys are participating. All right. Olufumike says this can experience a buildup of unprocessed emotions in our system that needs an outlet. Exactly. So the same way you can have physical constipation, you can also have emotional constipation. Reason, our feelings are energy in motion. They're supposed to move through our body. Because we are telling ourselves that, no, I don't feel how I feel. The energy that is supposed to move, what do you think is happening to it? All right, I'm looking at the messages. Thank you, guys. It's being suppressed. It stays stagnant. It builds up. Thank you, guys. That's exactly what's happening. So believe it or not, you may not have heard it before today, but just our inability to let energy in motion, emotion that is flowing through our body, not letting it flow is giving us constipation. And we don't even know that we have it. And guess what? When we are constipated, we are bloated, it is showing up in our relationships and in our lives because we don't know. And look, nobody taught us these things. We learned to read and write. We learned how to drive. We learned to use Twitter, to use social media, right? So many of us work in jobs where we have so many skills that we picked up by ourselves. How to use PowerPoint, how to write content, how to make hair, create jewelry. All those things were learned. If nobody taught us about emotions, it's possible that we have a learning gap. And my burning desire is to simplify it, because once you know it, it just changes your life. Because when you feel an emotion in your body, you can then read the signal for what it's saying to you first, which is what we're supposed to do, right? So yes, the energy gets stored up. Let me read the other definitions of emotional constipation. Emotional constipation is the bottling up of emotions or the inability to communicate feelings as needed. When we're unable to communicate what we think or how we feel, emotions often become compounded. Right. Thank you. And I like that these are all definitions that you guys found by yourselves, right? Emotional constipation is defined as the inability or unwillingness to express one's emotions. It creates the impression of a cold or unfeeling person. Blocked or repressed emotions are associated with physical conditions. We can literally be sick in our body because we don't know how to process our emotions. That's how serious it can be. I grew up in Nigeria, and I know that a lot of people like me didn't grow up with access to this information. So what's going on with us? We are constipated and we don't even realize it. And I just have a burning desire to share that knowledge because it can change your life. Because if you know what to do with your emotions, especially if you know how to emotionally regulate, it will change your life. You will literally go from yelling and screaming every time, right, to recognizing what's going on inside your body. And I wish it was something we could completely cover inside this workshop, but it's a very specific 7-step process that I teach. And if that's something that you want me to do a deep dive on in a course because you think it can benefit you, you're going to have the opportunity to be able to do that after. But you can also read up on it or find it out by yourself. And it's also what I teach a lot of my clients in, therapy, with very specific steps to be able to identify, label, and work through your emotions so you can connect to your upstairs brain, which is the seat of executive functioning, and make better choices. Speaking of upstairs brain, I already made an explainer video that we're uploading today to explain upstairs brain so that way you can understand what the concept is. Upstairs and downstairs brain, I actually did it in 2 parts because I wanted to be as detailed as possible, right? So those are emotions, those are feelings that going through our body. We don't even know what they are, nor do we know what to do with them, and it's causing us to be constipated. So we need to learn. It's actual learning. It's like a whole course. It's something I've been developing for a while, and I'm happy to introduce that to you afterwards. So emotional regulation, the simple definition is as the title, knowing how to regulate, control, what the energy inside our body does, which is versus the energy controlling us, right? Let me explain what that means. The way our brain and body connection works, it's a very specific way. And once again, I didn't invent it. It's neuroscience. You can research it. My own job is to simplify it for you. The way our body works is very, very specific and complex, because the brain, as small as it is the most misunderstood or the least understood organ because of how it works, right? Because, for example, I'm going to look at it. Where do you think your brain is? Which part of the body, or which parts of the body do you think your brain is? I'm going to look at the charts because I think the answers will be interesting. Okay, Toyosi says head, neck or spine. Yeah, thank you, Ariola. Yeah. I'm going to speed up. Did you know that you have a gut brain? If you knew that before now, please say yes, or if you didn't, say no. Do you know that you have a gut brain? Yes, thank you, Toyosi. Yes, we have a gut brain, right? I appreciate your honesty, Henry, because even I didn't know that for many years, that we have a gut brain. Our brain doesn't just end in our head. The part that's in our head is one part of a network that goes through all of our body, believe it or not. So it's a complex system that we have to just learn more about. As you can tell, I'm excited to teach. So what goes on is largely an automatic process that is outside of our consciousness. So let's say, for example, you see a dog that is racing at you, right? This process I'm about to describe, happens automatically outside of your conscious awareness. Your brain immediately senses danger, and immediately your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, because your brain senses danger, kicks into action. Your brain sends blood to your legs so that you will have ability to run or take off. Or your brain makes you freeze. There's something called the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. These things happen automatically. So that's why sometimes somebody says, how can you see danger and just stay there? Why don't you run? Sweetie, it's not a conscious choice. Your brain does it, because if your brain assesses the situation in a split second and it sees that you have a chance of escape, your brain is going to send blood and energy, adrenaline, to your legs, and you're going to start running. If your brain immediately assesses the situation and it sees that, there's nothing you can do, it's all over, your brain can freeze, right? That is the flight, the freeze. The fight response is if your brain assesses the situation and it sees that you can take on your attacker, your brain will send energy and blood to your hands and you will attack. That's the fight response. If your brain assesses the situation and it thinks that you can use sweetness or niceness to keep yourself safe in this situation, you will get the fawn response. So here we are thinking that we were the one that chose to run. The process is outside of our conscious awareness. So to speed up, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses, they are happening automatically from what is known as our downstairs brain. You're going to hear me refer to this often, so make sure you watch the video in the resource library. Downstairs brain, which is our lizard or reptilian brain. That's where majority of those automatic responses come from, right? So what then tends to happen as we go is that our brain sends signals to our body, and we just, somebody insults you, insult them back. Then you have now lost your job. Later, you're now saying, and I needed that job, and I shouldn't have insulted back because that was a corporate setting. Which part of your brain was in control? Please put it in the chat. Which part of your brain was in control that told you or that gave you the instinctive instruction to just yell back? That's the downstairs brain. Thank you, Ariola. I really appreciate it. You're paying attention. That's the downstairs brain. And we're often ruled by that downstairs brain, and it is ruining our lives because the brain's job is to keep you safe. This downstairs brain is to keep you safe. It's not to keep you employed. It's not to keep you happy, right? Because some of the things that the downstairs brain will do in our relationships ruins our relationships. For example, your downstairs brain is going to say, when they say one, you say 10 back. Or if you have been hurt very terribly in a specific situation, as soon as you start to see those signs in this other situation, you just fly, you take off. That's flight, right? You refuse to continue to engage in the relationship and you escape. That's your downstairs brain. So we have to learn these things so that when our brain sends a signal to our body, we can connect this downstairs brain to this upstairs brain, because this upstairs brain is the seat of executive function. It is our thinking brain. There's the downstairs brain, right? Then there's here. You need to watch the upstairs and downstairs brain video. I really broke it down. Then there's here. You see, this part is the amygdala, is the policeman of the brain. Once this amygdala starts twitching, once it senses anything, it starts twitching, it flips the lid, our upstairs brain goes offline. This is the seat of executive functioning. So emotional regulation is knowing first what's going on inside so that you can bring your upstairs brain and connect it to the downstairs brain and not just do everything that downstairs brain is telling us to do. I get super excited about teaching this stuff. Can you tell? So emotional regulation is knowing what's going inside first, then learning this. I have a proprietary 7-step system that's in a course, of course, that you can then know what to do to connect so that you are using your whole brain. It's called integration. You are now more aware of your brain-body connection. When you sense something, you already recognize that. How am I feeling? So, for example, in this session, Prezi refused to work. Nothing was going my way. As you guys were watching me, I was literally feeling all the sensations in my body and using my steps to say, how am I feeling? I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry right now. I'm feeling tired. I was also feeling incompetent because, look, I have an audience and I'm keeping them waiting while I'm struggling with technology. Oh my God, they're going to think I'm a bumbling idiot. All of those things I identified in my body. And instead of me to use this thing to act, I know exactly what to do to connect this place so that I'm making the choices that support me and get me to where I need to go. If that's something that you're interested in learning, I want you to put it in the chat. Let me see if that's something I need to expand on some more. Let me read the chat. Olufumike said, so basically downstairs brain is Glasgow's or fold. Yeah, fight, flight. So fight is Glasgow's, flight, that's escape. A lot of people use avoidance in relationships, so you just shut down because you don't know what to do. That's an example of freeze, right? Fawn, we start to act nicely in the face of, an attack, right? Henrietta said, wow, I wonder what I said that evokes that response. So as he said, upstairs thinking brain, exactly. That is our the cortical realm of the brain. See, the prefrontal cortex is right here. Right here is this part. Is the most exciting part to me. It's also the one that takes the longest to develop. Guess what age the prefrontal cortex gets fully developed? I want you to put it in the chat. Upstairs thinking brain, downstairs violence brain. Well, when you put it like that. Okay, so yes, please, you guys want to learn that. So I'll make a course. I'll make a course. I'll give you a QR code that you can scan. Age 25. And then is absolutely correct. That's the age where it starts getting fully developed. In the late 20s, that's when the prefrontal cortex gets fully developed. 60. No, not 60. Betty said 20. Henrietta said 30, 20s, 25, 20. You guys are on it. I love it. Exactly. So once you know about what's going on in your brain, so instead of being this person who is always reacting, shouting, or just maybe shutting down, or just, you can be in a work situation and you find out that once somebody just raises their voice, you're not able to speak up for yourself, right? Or your relationships are getting ruined because once you feel a trigger, you are acting in ways that you're not proud of later. Those are signs that you need emotional regulation. Now, I don't want to forget somebody who mentioned in the comments for this workshop that she wanted to learn as a parent a way to stay regulated. If you're a parent, you definitely need this course, because if there's something that being a parent will reveal to you about yourself, it is that you're capable of very big emotions. And the irony, or what is often the paradox, is that these children that we love so much and that we want to protect and care for, they're evoking all these strong responses in us and we don't know what to do. So what we tend to do is then blame them, because we then say, well, if you didn't act like this, I wouldn't have needed to act like that. Is that something that you've ever found yourself repeating often? I'm going to type the yes in the chat because me too. It happens to me too. Right? I appreciate your honesty, and that's why we're a community, because we're divested from shame and we're going to help each other be better. So you're in good company. You're in very, very good company, right? So it's not even just children. It's literally other adults, because you have made up your mind that you're going to be a good person, live your life and enjoy your life. And all of a sudden, from nowhere, somebody just comes to push your buttons. Afterwards, which is the place that I usually like to focus on for people, is that after, when you are calm, when your upstairs brain is now online and you're using your thinking brain to think about it, you're now like, how did I even get myself into this mess in the first place? That's something that you can relate to, because I can relate, right? That means that when your upstairs brain comes back online, even you know, right, that I'm better than this, and this isn't the way I wanted to show up in the world. That's how emotional regulation will change your life. Literally. Is it easy? No. But is it something we can all learn? Yes. Because if I learned it, anyone can learn it. And I'm in that process, and I can see how learning it has changed my life. So you don't need to go and get a whole other degree, right? In the past, I started going back to school to become a therapist in 2012, right? And I got fully licensed, like going through all of my degrees. I got an associate's, a bachelor's, and then a master's degree, then 1 board certification and 2 licenses. I didn't fully complete that process until this year. It took me 11, 12 years. It doesn't have to take you that long, because guess who wants to simplify it? So you don't have to read any text. Just come along with me, and I'll break it down in simple terms that you can use it and apply it to your life today. That's one of the advantages of being in my virtual village. You'll be the first to know. So even before I share this to a public mailing list, joining this wait list is how you will be the first to know. So I'm working on putting the course together, because it's something I've been talking about for a long time, and people have been saying, write a book. I'm like, before we get to book level, let's, put it in a course that's self-paced. But what I'll do is I won't even release it to you as a self-paced course. I will release it to you as a live learning opportunity, so that way I can tailor it to your own specific needs. So this is where we do questions and answers. But before we do Q&A, I want to give you specific tools, a very specific tool that you can use today. If you're ready, say ready in the chat and I'll jump right into it. Are you guys ready? Now listen, I'm going to teach you how to breathe. I fully expect that somebody will say, LOL, how are you going to teach me something I've been doing since I was born? Look, first time I heard that I was breathing wrong, I rolled my eyes. They were touching the back of my skull. So if you roll your eyes at me, believe me when I say I can relate. In fact, let me share something that's very interesting with you before I teach you this tool. well, maybe not every resistance. If you have a resistance to the material I share, I want you to know that I can relate to that resistance because I rolled my eyes heavily when I first started getting introduced to this material, right? I went to school because I wanted to first study psychology because I thought that would be the most helpful course to study to become a therapist. Then I changed my major to behavior science and I took a class called, I think it was Behavior 101. And that class revolutionized my life because it was there I started learning about positive reinforcement and how positive reinforcement is more helpful in changing behavior than negative reinforcement. I was an adult in my 30s. I already had 3 children. I already lived my life up until a point, and they were telling me all about this science. I was like, what rubbish are you saying? So if you are resistant to the material, believe me when I tell you that I get it. However, the more I learned, the more I then knew that, oh, this thing is practical, and I was applying it in my life and it was changing. And because I'm a sharer, I just enjoy telling people what I've learned and I watched it change their lives too, right? So that's why I continue to share, even when people say they don't agree or they resist. I didn't invent it, I learned it. It's like saying, I don't need to learn how to drive. If you don't learn how to drive, that's fine, you will be okay. However, there are certain things you're not going to be able to do for yourself. It's like when children learn to read, right? You can see them in the car. Now they're reading every sign. Walmart, McDonald's. Can you spell that for me, mommy? Because a new world has been opened to them because they learned something new. That's literally what the science of behavior has done for me. Opened me up to a new world, changed the way I parent. I used to be a parent who there was a year that I had to write my goals for the following year was to because I just used to shout. And it was so frustrating because I didn't like myself. Fast forward years later, a couple of weeks ago, my middle child was in youth church at church, and they were teaching the children, and they said, which of you here does your parents not shout at them? And in that whole room, my daughter was the only one that raised up her hand. First of all, to be clear, I wasn't there. So it wasn't that maybe she was doing something to impress me. It was one of my friends who volunteered at youth church that came and told me after that, when are you going to start classes? This behavior science thing you're saying is really, really low. And your daughter said that you don't shout. I'm like, it's not like I've lost the capacity to shout because I can shout, but I've learned emotional regulation, and I know that shouting does not get me to my end goal. So that's a very practical, true life story of how this learning changed my life, and I believe it can change yours too, right? So what we know changes the way we interact the world, and it improves our outcomes, and it is my pleasure to share that with you. So when I say I want to teach you to breathe, you've been breathing all your life. The first day, a therapist tried to teach me to breathe as well. I rolled my eyes, but I found out that I've been breathing long. I've been breathing wrong for long. So real quick, we have 10 more minutes. If you don't mind turning on your camera, let's make this an activity that we do together so we can make it as much fun as possible. And I'll teach you how to breathe. Or if you don't feel like turning it on, that's okay. But I like this part being interactive so I can actually show you something. So if you want to indulge me, please do, and turn on your camera. Let's do this. Let me teach you how to breathe. So are you ready to learn to breathe? Thank you, everyone that turned on your camera. I don't know if you can see me, but I want you to put your hand on your stomach like this. Let me know when you're ready. We have a few more minutes. Put your hand on your belly like this. Are you ready? And put the other one on your chest. Oh, if you're holding your phone, you may not be able to do that. But please indulge me. One hand on your belly or one hand on your chest. Are you ready? And I want you to take a deep breath. This is your practice one. And I want you to pay attention to which one is moving, if it is the hand on your chest or the hand on your belly. And I want you to put it in the chat for me, if you will. Even if you don't have your camera on, see if you can put it in the chat for me. Is it the hand on your chest that is moving or the hand on the belly? Okay, I see chest. Thank you. I see belly. Let's see a couple more, then we'll move on. Belly, belly, both. Chest. Thank you, guys. Chest, chest, stomach. Both, belly, belly. You guys are such an awesome audience. I'm glad that I overcame my initial stress up that I was feeling for us to do this. Yeah. Now, I want you to pay attention and try to breathe into your belly such that only the hand on your belly moves, not the hand of your on your chest. Let's see if that's possible. So you are going to do, let's do 4, 4, 4. Okay, no, I'm rushing through this and it's because we're out of time. But okay, so tell me, were you able to do only belly moving and not chest moving? Or both still moved? I'm looking at the chat, guys. Only belly or both? Both still moved, only chest still moving, belly only. Okay, so because our lungs are located around here, right? Please, who knows human anatomy, correct me if I'm wrong. Our lungs in our chest, belly only, both of. Is it to breathe in and out? No, to breathe in. Our lungs are around here. So when we fill our lungs with air, right, that's when we are deep breathing. When we are chest breathing, we are shallow breathing. And we tend to shallow breathe when we're really anxious and when we're keyed up. So when you find your upstairs brain flipping your lid, when you flip your lid because your amygdala is really charging. Remember, we said the amygdala is the policeman, the security guard of the body. So when you get triggered, it's in the limbic region, right, of your brain. This one is ready to move or take off or fight or freeze, right? It starts and your upstairs brain goes offline. One of the first signs is that you start chest breathing. Guess what's happening? Oxygen isn't going to your brain anymore. And you are less likely to be able to bring your upstairs brain back online. So if there's one thing that you're taking away from this live workshop today, is that when you start to feel activated, and you will feel it, you will start to know it in your body, your heart rate will increase. It's at that point that maybe sometimes for us that parents, you start telling the children, say, hey, who can relate? You're like, hey, I can see some people smiling. If you can relate, say yes in the chat. You're like, right? Your amygdala is, your upstairs brain is ready to go offline. Then you now find yourself acting in ways that you don't like. So if you want to keep your upstairs brain online, one of the revolutionary simple things that you can do is deep belly breathing. It sends oxygen to your brain, helps to connect your upstairs brain. It sends air to your lungs and it changes your life. It seems really simple, yeah? Majority of the things that we need to change our life are simple. That's why I like simplifying the science, guys. So put your hand on your chest and your hand on your belly and let's breathe together. Just practice belly breathing with me, please. So this is what we are going to do. We're going to do 4 seconds to take the breath, 4 seconds to hold it, and 4 seconds to release it. Let's do it. Can we try it again? Try and make sure that the hand on your chest is not moving. That's why we have it there. So that all the air is going to your belly. So let's do 4 seconds. Let's do 5. Should we try for 5? Give me a thumbs up if you want to try for 5. I'm always going to be asking you if we should do what we are doing because I like consent. So tell me. Should we do 5? I'm waiting for feedback. Yeah, let's do 5. All right. Hand on your chest, hand on your belly. So remember, in for 5, hold for 5, release for 5. Are you ready? Village members, if you can hack this thing, it will change your life. Start practicing it from today. Once you've been able to practice breathing into your belly without touching your chest, it doesn't mean that every time you'll be doing like this. So no, the only point of putting your hand there is just so that you can pay attention to where the air is going. Once you start to feel yourself getting triggered, or feeling yourself getting activated, remember Coach G said you should do what? Belly breathe. Belly breathe. Breathe into your belly. There's so much science around this. I wish there was enough time to share with you. It calms down your polyvagal system, your whole nervous system. It helps to calm it down. It sends, oh, I see celebration. If you're able to do only belly, put it in the chat. I say only belly, only belly, only belly. I want to see that. I'm super excited because I really want to give you guys tools. I really, really do. Yeah, so just try. If you're not able to hack it, that's okay. Remember, it took a while, right? So just pay attention that when you are breathing, oh, one said only belly. I like that one. Breathe into your belly. It sends oxygen to your brain. It calms down your nervous system, and it helps you to bring your upstairs brain back online. To be clear, like I usually say, nobody lives in upstairs brain all of the time. That's why if you see me outside, I'm spazzing out, or maybe raising my voice or changing it for somebody. Don't go and say, this Coach G that said we should be staying in upstairs brain. I'm a human being like you. I don't stay in upstairs brain all the time. The goal is to go upstairs more and stay upstairs more so that you are showing up in the world as a person that you are proud of. Remember, I said what lights my fire is collaborating with determined people so you can be the best version of yourself possible. So if you don't like the way you're showing up in the world right now, take my course and I will help you, right, with a very practical tool that you can use to change your life. So if you have learned this thing that you have learned, when we are done with this session, please go and tweet about it and share it and tag Untangle together and say, I learned how to breathe today. Allow people to laugh at you, but you know the difference. Because once you belly breathe, you can feel your body calm down and your life has changed. So one more thing before we go. If you have any question, now's the time to put it in the chat. I'll touch on it quickly, but we literally have 1 more minute. So you've joined the course waitlist. I hope you have. That's what. So after this session, please scan this one. This is just for general feedback about the community. If there's something you want us to add, if there's something that you have noticed that you want to see, remember, we're building this community and I want to build it with you because the most important people in the community are the people, right? So you've heard my intentions. I've been working hard with my team, but if there's something that is helpful that you can share with us that can help us make us be better, we will be privileged to hear it from you so that we can make this community better into what can help to meet your needs. My name is gbemi. My clients like to call me Coach G, and I'm interested in teaching you how to apply the science of behavior so you can apply it to your life today. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. You have no idea. This has been a passion of mine. This community has passion project that has cost me a ton of money and a lot of people have worked on it, but you came here and you validated the idea that building this community and teaching people things will help. Thank you so much, for participating. I don't take it for granted at all. And I will see you inside the village. I want you to make sure you're for the next live event. It's once a month that we do it. So monthly live workshops. The next one, make sure you leave your comments of what you want to learn. I know that we said that the comment with the most likes is what we will choose, but we only just realized 2 days ago that Circle doesn't allow you to actually like the comments under the RSVP. It actually just lets you like the actual post. So if you leave your comment for the topic you want to learn next time, just put it in the reply that I want to learn this topic, or to just say like, so we can choose, because I really want it to be the village that decide what we learn. So next month in January, we will come here and learn one practical thing that you can use. Between now and then, you hear from me about the course, and I will teach you my proprietary 7-step process, but I'll teach only you guys first before I teach it at the rates I really should be teaching it to the general public. Thank you. Share, invite your friends to join the virtual village. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Goodbye. God bless you.
Thank you, gbemi. Have a good rest of the weekend, everyone.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Coach G. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so